watching Daybreak, the part where we bring you the local and international papers, what's on their front pages, and we review it. I have with me here Dr. Constance Ikoku, who will introduce our guest. Good morning, Constance.
Good morning, Indy. How are you today?
Good.
Very good morning. Well, we'll have a guest to review the newspapers with us today. He is Emmanuel Azike. Emmanuel is a columnist with Vanguard newspaper and a former political editor. Great to have you here.
Nice to be here too.
Morning to you.
So, hello there and welcome to the program. We'll start with This Day newspaper. In This Day, intrigues as ruling party APC Rivers State chapter now backs Fubara. The court reinstated chairman of the APC, the All Progressives Congress in Rivers, Emeka Beke. He declared the party's support for the leadership of Governor Sim Fubara. This is in sharp contrast to the approach of former chairman of the party, Chief Tony Okacha, an ally of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. On Monday, a Rivers State High Court sacked the caretaker committee of the APC in the state, led by Okacha, as inaugurated by the National Working Committee of the party. The Becker leadership of the party was thus reinstated. Becker said Okacha was planning, or planning out the script of Wike to make the state ungovernable. I mean, what we are seeing again is Rivers House of Commotion. Now there's shifting of alliances by the opposition led by Becker. And it's a change of heart by that leadership, probably realizing the senselessness in perpetual crisis. Any new insight into what is happening in Rivers, Emmanuel?
Well, what's happening? You really put you on the spot, saying intrigues. And it has brought, you didn't mention the fact that the court decision and the reinstatement of Emeka Beke's led APC, democratically elected leadership of the Rivers State chapter of the APC, has also reinstated the leadership of Rotimi Amaechi as the political leader of the party in the states. Amaechi, you recall, contested the presidential ticket of the APC with Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He lost the contest, and ever since he's been in the shadows. Unlike in the past years, especially even when he was Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, he was a phenomenon in the politics of Rivers State. And I do know he nominated several persons in Rivers State, in the political landscape in Rivers State and also in the country. So what has happened, and I do not want to say that, because I listened to the interview on Arise News yesterday, and he did not really say that he's aligned to Fubara. What he did say was that politics is over, elections are over, right, and that it is now time to govern. That they recognize Fubara as the governor of Rivers State, and that he will be giving him the political support as it is. That is not being hostile, unlike the former Tony Okacha leadership.
Yeah. So from what you've just reviewed, it means that the political supremacy between Wike and Rotimi Amaechi is back on.
Sure.
The saddle has changed or moved again.
What I don't get is Becker said something. Becker said that Okacha is not a member of the APC.
Yes.
But then the story has it that Okacha's led committee Okacha was appointed by the NWC of APC.
Yeah.
NWC is the highest body. I mean, one of the highest.
One of the highest.
One of the highest bodies in APC.
In any party.
Well, we're talking about APC now. So when Becker says that Okacha is not a member of the APC, that I don't understand.
You understand? If I may interject, sorry. Okay. He did say he is in possession of the register of the party in Okacha's ward. That Okacha is not a registered member. You remember Okacha left the APC for the SDP, and it was the decision of the NWC based on his alliance with Nyesom Wike that made him and several other members who were mostly from the PDP, executive members of the APC.
Yeah, because he was talking about the fact that Okocha is Wike's installed person. But then this is where we talk about internal democracy. I mean, how can that particularly happen if what he's claiming is true? One thing is interesting. Aside playing politics, election is over. If parties in Nigeria can begin to tinker with the idea of supporting the ruling government in the state in terms of policy making, decision making for the state citizens to get the dividends of democracy, that would be fantastic. You know, but this politics in Rivers is really something that has been ongoing, has gone on for too long.
Yeah.
The Okocha group also held a solidarity march for Wike.
They
Beke is saying there can only be one governor at a particular time in a state, and as far as they're concerned, Fubara is the state governor, and would try that what Wike is doing and Okocha is doing is trying to make the state ungovernable, which we will not accept. But the tag, a court installed chairman, I don't know what that means, because court is part of how we settle issues. So why should you put court? Court has given a judgment.
I mean, there has been back and forth.
I know, but court has given
different cases in the court in Rivers State, but also across the country. But you also know that, to your point on Okocha, he's very proud of his paymaster. In that rally, he said, you know, he will continue to work with Minister Nyesom Wike and President Bola Tinubu because they are, you know, working to improve the living standards of Nigeria. So, you know, he will continue to be on their side while Beke is on their side. But Beke also has a point when he says that it is important that we have, or they have, relative peace in the state. Without peace, there is no progress, Emmanuel.
Yes, and I want to say that what the court did was to affirm the supremacy of the local chapter of the party, because what we see in Nigeria is that
politics is rural.
Politics is rural.
Yes.
All politics is at the grassroots.
Exactly.
So if people at the grassroots elected somebody, then all of a sudden somebody at the national level, because you have some animosity towards a colleague or a rival, you now decide to decapitate his structure at that local level, which I think is very wrong. So I feel personally comforted that the court has ruled to affirm internal democracy, because Beke was saying, all he's been saying is that he was elected by the people. Not people came from outside the party and took over the structure of the party.
Which is wrong.
Which is very wrong.
So we also see that dichotomy between the powers in Abuja and the local chapter. So for instance, when someone from a state is appointed a minister or gets a political office from the capital or from the federal government, that person wants to exercise undue influence over the state chapter. We also saw that during Minister Rotimi Amechi's time. It was the same thing when Nyesom Wike was governor of the state. There was that tussle between them, federal and state chapter. So you see this going on, and it is not good for democracy. Well, Rivers is not over yet. But hopefully, yes, go on.
I would like to add something. You see, this now puts the PDP on the spot at the national level, because we do know that the national leadership of the PDP has not been very comfortable with Fubara. So you now have Fubara being supported by the local chapter of the APC, whereas the national leadership of the party, it's a little bit, if I may say, hostile. So the PDP has to realign itself. One should call out the national leadership of the PDP to put its acts together.
Do they have a national leadership? They have refused to conduct. There was supposed to be a national convention. It doesn't look like that convention is happening. So they still have an acting national chairman. So they themselves are in tatters.
Yeah, they're really, and that's the issue here, because the talk has always been, Wike has engaged in anti-party activities. Wike has done so many things that the PDP, you wonder, are they a lion that has no teeth? They can't bite.
Right.
So
they can't even roar.
People wonder, they can't roar. People wonder, what is it that Wike has against, that is holding against the PDP, how he's holding them by the balls, and the PDP is a toothless bulldog, and he's still in PDP. You know, it's PDP is
Attends
a party that
attends
is...
the national NEC meeting, even though he's not a member.
Well, we'll be watching that space for you. Let's move on to Punch newspaper. In Punch, FG blocks 83 billion naira protest funds, arrests political collaborators. The FG has uncovered $50 million crypto funds also. It has blocked 4 digital wallets, and that digital wallet contains $38 million. This was part of a presentation by the National Security Advisor, Mr. Nihu Rebadu. Also, a European was identified as behind the foreign flags that we saw during that protest in parts of the north. Some political actors contributed 4 billion naira to the protest. I mean, as we can see, government is very proactive and efficient when they want to. You know, it has been, you know, very forceful when it relates to the opposition as it comes to this protest. One wonders if that same level of alacrity is applied to governance generally and everything else. All the criminal politicians that are moving around and have not had their accounts you know, suspended or arrested, it would have been a different thing. His government is applying the same force in everything that has to do with governance in the country. Emmanuel.
Well, this is coming from an administration that has been, that's well determined to protect itself. It's not surprising. And if truly that foreign agents were involved in the recent protest, it caused for concern.
Some, not all. They're talking
Right.
about the flags in the US,
Okay.
in the north.
But my take is that this narrative shows us that the administration probably hasn't learned any lesson from this protest, because you are pursuing the narrative, you are pursuing a course. It seems as if you are heading towards a cliff, and you don't want to come back. You don't want to reassess your position. You don't want to reassess your speed, because Nigerians are protesting against hardship. Nigerians are protesting against the devaluation of the naira. Nigerians are protesting against bad governance. These things have not been addressed. But all your focus, as you said, with alacrity, you are pursuing foreign agents that are supposed to have influenced this protest.
But also Nigerians, not only, you know,
whether Nigerians or foreigners. But it calls for concern that the real issues are not being addressed. The only thing we've seen is a drop in the ocean, the commissioning of about 28 CNG buses out of a promised 3,000 buses. That's about
30.
1%.
30.
Okay, 30 out of a promised 3,000 buses. That is 1% that was made more than a year ago. I don't think this is the way to go. I expected the administration, after this nationwide protest, the whole country, people came out, people who were hard up, came out and protested the sufferings in the land. One expected the administration to rethink and rejig its policies, not pursuing, going after protesters the way it is going. Now, I would want the administration to go after the funders of terrorism in the country. We remember that the UAE gave us a list of terrorism financiers in Nigeria. Till today, nothing has been heard of such. So the administration should, the real issues that are stopping people from going to the farms, the fair administration should address it.
Right. I mean, there seems to have been attempts to criminalize protest. And then, you know, the general perception is that the focus should be on reducing inequality in the country. As long as there is a huge disparity between the haves and the have-nots, there is no amount of propaganda that will stop the wind that is blowing. And that's what we are seeing in the country, indeed.
You can't flog a child and tell him or her not to cry if the flogging was quite heavy, you know. And just like Emmanuel said, it's simple. Somebody said it's one thing to tell somebody desist from this crime, and then you don't provide a source of livelihood, an alternative. Yeah. He easily goes back, or she easily goes back there because of the pressure, and because there's nothing to take the person. It's called substitution. Nothing to take the person away or keep the person busy. the idea, I mean, no one would support foreign interference encouraged by local actors in our politics. That is clear. Again, the European person was not mentioned. I mean, government always drops names and drops and drops, but we never get to hear the name. Let's know who the person is. Then we'll know whether you're taking the person to court. But you just say this, it doesn't really, people hardly believe this when government says it. Go to the root of the matter. Why did people start protesting? People started protesting because of what they called #End Bad Governance. Take back our government. Hardship, high cost of living that is increasing on a daily basis. High cost of everything, health, school fees, house rent, transportation. Address these matters and you will not waste your effort looking for who is trying to bring down your government, because there will be none.
Right. Ndi, let's continue from where you landed, high cost of everything. Our next story in the Vanguard. Let's look at that. Ballooning operating costs. NCC stakeholders kick as telcos threaten service outage. The telecoms companies warn that excruciating financial obligations is affecting them and may impact services. But the Nigerian Communications Commission said it will not be arm-twisted. All this was described or talked about in an event titled Telecom Industry 2.0, the next investment frontier. I don't know if there are new investments in that sector, but that was an event. Nigeria's woes is affecting the industry. They say they cannot service all their facilities at the same time. I mean, yesterday it was the manufacturing sector that we were talking about. It's either about companies exiting or those
50 firms and all that.
On the verge of shutting down. Today is the telcos warning of impending collapse of services if nothing changes in the country. Emmanuel.
Well, I would like to equate the report we have seen to the situation of power supply in the country. What the telcos are telling us is that the way NEPA, NEPA, though we don't have NEPA anymore, PHCN or whatever, the local distribution companies, the way they shut off power supply is the way that the telcos will soon start shutting down telephone services. That you may come to a time that telephone service, it will not be available wherever and whenever it is needed, which is not something that should be welcome for a country that is moving forward. This is a major reversal. And please, I want to say something. The telcos, yes, they've suffered issues, especially they suffered losses. MTN, for example, though I may be no fan of them.
You're not advertising for them.
Yeah, I'm certainly not advertising for them. MTN suffered major losses. The first loss since it went to the stock market in 2019. Last year, it declared based essentially on what? On high energy cost and the devaluation of the naira. So you see, and government itself has not been forthcoming, because when these telcos came into the country in 2001, there was a memorandum of agreement that the federal government was going to make sure that power supply is available for 18 hours of the day.
Yes.
I don't know where in the country, apart from those in Band A, as it is speculated now. So those who are outside Band A don't suffer. Those outside Band A now suffer, may not be able to
have power.
So
constantly.
So you are getting to a situation where the telcos are going to be crippled based on heavy cost of operation.
And Emmanuel, let's relate it to another story on This Day Still. It's in the inside page, but up front on the website, where the power minister was saying that they are targeting 6,000 megawatts by the end of the year. According to him, when they came into office, it was about 4,000, and now it's about 5,000. I mean, still mega amount of electricity. And so when the telcos say that they were promised 18 hours of electricity and the government is not abiding by that, we can understand what is going on. You're not even generating enough, and so that's what is going on. In addition, the NNCC says, hold on, you're not going to arm twist us. This seems like a threat, but it is what obtains in the country. The conditions of running a company are very tough these days. and it will have impact, as we are seeing.
It will have, just like you mentioned, I think it was yesterday we discussed about 500 firms quitting and some others on the verge of quitting.
And over 100,000 jobs lost in a particular
within,
sector.
Yeah, you know, and it's disheartening. It's appalling. Over a stretch of how many years? I think it was a passenger that talked about
4,000.
You know, there was something being done on electricity, which was never done.
Electricity reform.
Yeah, which was never done. One keeps wondering, what is the real snag in this question of electricity? Even when Fashola came on board, he said he was going to solve it. He's left. We're still in that mess. Now they have, it's not just a question of power, which is huge for the telecom operators, but the question of multiple taxation that cripples their activities. And like Emmanuel says, just like PHCN does, you could just be watching a very fine program or doing something, light just goes. And what they're saying, they're threatening outage, not because they want to do it, but because of the circumstances surrounding their operations. And these are the things that the government should look at. These are the things the government was supposed to have looked at when it was removing subsidy and then floating the naira. The environment for business is getting tougher and tougher every day, just like it's getting tougher and tougher for the consumer. And what invariably happens is that it falls back on the consumer because they keep increasing their prices.
Definitely.
So this is something government should seriously look at.
Well,
I must add, it seems as if we have been at a standstill. I remember as a reporter in 2001 or thereabouts, Senator Leah Imoke was the chairman of the technical committee of the on power, on NEPA. There was a big announcement that Nigeria had attained 4,000 megawatts.
Big announcement.
Yes, a big announcement. Till today, you are now telling us we are still at that level. It's a major disappointment, especially coming from the party in power, which said prior to the 2015 that any government that cannot provide suitable power supply, it should not be in government.
Well, there is a forward and backward cycle going on.
And this is a year too, Constance, that we must not forget. It's about 7 or 8 times the power grid has collapsed.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to New Telegraph. You can't say enough about power.
You can't.
In New Telegraph, Obasanjo IBB absent as Council of State passes vote of confidence on President Tinubu. This was the first Council of State meeting hosted by this president. The Council of State includes all former heads of state, General Yakubu Gowon and General Abdulsalami Abubakar, all retired, joined the meeting virtually. The meeting declared readiness to resist unconstitutional change of the government, and this body advises the executive on policy making. I mean, it says a vote of confidence was passed on the president. Of course, they will pass a vote of confidence on him. The meeting included governors, ministers, and other government officials. The president is or was in a familiar territory. Nobody was expecting anything different. Were you, Emmanuel?
You are very correct. Because you couldn't have expected the political actors who, across party lines, have taken the umbrage of Nigerians. Nigerians are unhappy with them, the way they are living. That's why it's not bad governance against APC or PDP. It's against the political class. So that vote of confidence coming from the political actors towards one of their own was not unexpected. Now I want to say something.
They are far removed from reality.
Yes. This is the first time that Council of State is meeting.
For this president?
Yes, for this president. And which is a little bit troubling for me. Because over the period of time, since the advent of the Fourth Republic, we have seen a gradual reduction in consultations amongst these principal office, these stakeholders. We've seen presidents, because when Obasanjo came to power, I think the meeting was more regular.
It was.
And even with Jonathan. But under Buhari, it began to slip. Till now, you are just meeting people you are supposed to take advice from for the first time after you've been there for about 15 months. So, and you see, my problem is that this has also dovetailed into party administration. The APC as a party has not had a NEC meeting. I don't think they've had a NEC meeting since this president came. They've not been able to constitute a board of trustees.
Is that a party?
No, the board of trustees is supposed to be the conscience of the party. Since Buhari came to power, because of intrigues, they didn't want to give it to Atiku, they didn't want to give it to Tinubu. So for that reason, it was not constituted till now. So the president needs people who can speak to him, who can speak truth to power. And unfortunately, but the president seems, or his handlers seem to be circumscribing him, removing him from such consultations and advice.
You know, well, you know, President or former President Obasanjo was not present. Do you read any political meaning into this? Because in the last elections, he did not support President Tinubu. He was fully in support of the Labour Party candidate.
It's not Obasanjo and Tinubu is not today. I mean, I mean when he was governor
of Lagos.
Yeah,
yes.
Of Lagos. I mean,
they had
an ongoing battle. The president, the current president, and Obasanjo. You know about the creation of LCDAs and all that. You know, but the point is that just like Emmanuel said, people should be able to speak truth to power. You know, I don't know why it seems to be hard for people to speak, some people to raise their heads, especially people who are even out of government, like the former presidents. You know, the governors are still there, so you can say maybe some people are playing politics.
But Andy, let's assume that maybe they rebuked him off the camera, and then in front of the camera they have to put up a face and say, no, you cannot just change the government, we'll support the president.
Well, if we would never know. If you rebuked him off the camera, how would anybody know what you did? You know, the point is about not playing games. You know, they're rather concentrated on the fact that some people are trying to bring the government down. Which, of course, they gave him. I don't know whether it was on that they gave him a vote of no confidence. A vote of confidence.
Yes.
You know, but then again, the truth is that you might not want to rock the boat.
Right. Because
it might not be, after all, the talk really is that this administration has only spent 1 year.
Just over a year
1 year plus in office. So the talk is also that 1 year plus might not be really enough to see all the seeds that has been sown, you know, get the harvest from all the seeds that has been sown by the government. But then again, it said that you know where one is going to from the money.
Right.
What from the policies and from what you're doing, where are we going to? But we'll watch and see.
I mean, quickly. Hold on, quickly, because we're going to break shortly. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, was reported to have said that he praised the president for resisting the protesters, you know, alleged forceful takeover of government. And he said the bad governance protest was a decoy to take over power. So apparently people like Dele Alake do not know or understand what time of the day it is. Emmanuel, please go ahead.
I want to say that on the Obasanjo-Tinubu matter, you realize that when Obasanjo was president, Governor Tinubu, for the records will show he had the least attendance of governors present at that attended Council of State meetings, obviously because of the tiff between the two of them. Most times he sent his deputies who represented him in meetings with the president. Now, concerning what Dele Alake is saying, he's in government, it's unfortunate that the protesters did not say that they were not directed, apart from some few protesters. They were not calling for a change of government. They were not asking the government to come down. All they were asking is, we are suffering. We don't have money. Terrorists are bamboozling. Look at it everywhere. You can imagine kidnappers, hold people. Even when they pay. I've read some very painful reports recently of kidnappers even after ransom has been paid. And being killed. So I think the government needs to rethink all these bamboozling the populace is not helping matters.
Right. And then again, you know, there's a talk. If one doesn't know why they didn't go. I mean, Obasanjo and IBB, that must be stated. But then, if you stay away and don't give your advice, is that better? Yeah. If you stay away and don't give your advice, is that better? Rather than coming in and saying your piece. Some may say, the ones we've said, was it taking? Right. But you continue to talk like we do here. All right, you're still watching Daybreak, the paper review. We'll be back in just a bit. Don't go. Well, glad to have you back. You're still watching Daybreak. It's review of the papers, and I have Dr. Constance here with me and Emmanuel Azikin.
Yeah, so we were looking at the story from New Telegraph on the Council of State meeting with the president, and then what Mr. Dele Alake said. He also told Nigerians that if you want a change of government, you have to wait for elections to occur so that you can constitutionally have the government that you want. And then, of course, we know that in the some parts of the North, they did call for a change of government. So what they are saying is that it should be through constitutional means, through the elections, Emmanuel.
Yes, I want to, in fact, what Dele Alake said, some element of it, it's something that should be reappraised. Political actors, political parties, I do know that, yes, some of the political leaders came out openly to support the protest, but one will want to enjoin them to get their acts more properly together to prepare for the 2027 election. That is the time that Nigerians expect. If you want a change of government, it is in 2027 at the federal level that Nigerians should expect it.
And hopefully the elections will be conducted freely and fairly as Nigerians want, or anybody in a democracy wants. So let's move on quickly to Leadership newspaper. In Leadership, judges, others get pay rise and likely judicial reforms. Tinubu okays 300% salary increase of judicial workers. Special advisor to the president on National Assembly, Senator Bashir Lado, said this highlights the president's commitment to prioritizing welfare of Nigerian workers. He also praised the Senate president and the speaker for their support in getting this bill passed. In the National Assembly, 300% increase in salaries, allowances, and benefits. You know, that's some progress. That's a step forward, although it's not that much, but it's good. So according to what we have now, this Chief Justice of Nigeria will now receive just over 152 million naira per year, Emmanuel.
Well, what the administration has done is concerning the review of the pay of judicial officers is very welcome. You recall that President Tinubu has a legacy in judicial reforms. As governor of Lagos State, he instituted some of the most far-reaching reforms that were done by any governor at that time. And it was something that was also continued by Governor Fashola. So this is a welcome initiative, and we hope it will stem corruption, because the National Bureau of Statistics recently did say that the highest proportion of corruption, the highest level of corruption in the country emanated from the judiciary. So please, we have a new Chief Justice of the Federation. We are asking her to please act on this.
Right.
It's fantastic. It's interesting if you're increasing the salaries of judicial officers, just like you did with minimum wage, even though, I mean...
Yeah, minimum wage
that was just 100%.
that was
just 100%.
300% is relatively huge, you know, and it will encourage them. One hopes so, but I think the NJC needs to do a lot of work when it comes to the judiciary, because in some quarters you get to hear that one of the major problems of our democracy is the judiciary. Why? Because you get conflicting judgments on one particular issue across the board, and politicians have learned to play on that. An offense is committed here in Abuja. Somebody takes it to Gudu,
very fast
in Borno,
yes,
you know, and then gets another judgment.
Yeah.
The same level of courts. I think this is something that they need to address. I mean, aside what the president is doing with their salaries, which is encouraging, but that should be addressed and fast so that okay, we'll be back in a bit. I'm telling that I'm being told that we'll have to go for a short breath. I will be back. Just don't go away.
My kids are more than precious to me. Seeing them doing well, healthy and happy brings me so much joy. I know it's my responsibility to ensure they are well nourished. So I use Dangote salt in my cooking. It is high quality salt that's refined and iodized to give great taste to my meals and also support my family's health and well-being. And it's got a name that I trust. Dangote salt is refined and iodized to help prevent iodine deficiency disorders. So give your family meals that taste delicious and support their well-being with Dangote salt. It's time to care about your salt. Choose quality, choose Dangote salt.
All right, glad to have you back. We move straight to international newspapers, Constance.
Yes, let's look at Business Day South Africa. In Business Day, opposition leaders or parties welcome Gwamanda's exit as Joburg mayor. The resignation ends months of instability, poor service delivery, and general malaise in South Africa's largest municipality. Calls for him to go had intensified over the past few weeks. He was accused of not being qualified to suitably lead the country's economic and financial hub, which contributes almost 20% to national GDP. I mean, Kabelo Gwamanda has been mayor since 2023. You know, public officers, they hold a position of trust and responsibility. Their actions, whether small or big, directly impact the well-being of people and the functioning of society. So if they perform poorly, there are compelling reasons to show them the door, and I think that's what has just happened in Johannesburg, Emmanuel.
Well, it's a sad development, at least for youth empowerment, because this mayor that has just resigned was just 39 years old. It was an he was brought forth as an example of youth engagement and the capacity to show the capacity of the youth. And his resignation is about his fifth or sixth mayor to have resigned in about 6 years from being, he's about the fifth or sixth mayor to have resigned as the leader of, or the executive head of the Johannesburg. So, and now, why did he resign? He resigned based on agitations of poor service delivery. And this is what happens in a democracy. This is what happens when people protest through the pen, when people protest through verbal expressions. This is what happens in a civilized democracy. And I want to enjoin political actors in our country to look forward, to look towards what has happened there. They didn't need to go to the streets. People were agitated that he wasn't performing well.
Right.
And he threw in the towel.
And he resigned.
He resigned. Honorably. He resigned honorably.
Yeah. I mean, it's instructive that Johannesburg contributes 20% to the GDP. So that city is critical, you know, to driving the economy in the country. So people have seen that, and for them, it matters who is on the saddle, who is on the seat, and how they are driving that seat for the city.
Two interesting things here. Number one, he hearkened to the call of those who felt he was not doing a good job. On his own, he resigned. A lesson for leaders in this part of the world. Two, the power of the led, whether they are society, whether they are NGOs or whether they are civil society organizations. Let me even add three. The fact that you should also, you know, Ghana established that app we discussed here one time where people are supposed to participate in roads. So if you're
Finding potholes.
yeah,
Maintenance
yeah,
and,
call. So
yes.
people participation. So this shows people participation in how they are governed. This one was clear. You were not doing what you were called to do. Weren't finding it funny, and then the man hearkened on to them and resigned. And maybe you then add forth people that are appointed to offices. You have at the back of their minds that you're going there to serve, and you should do your best possible to render that service to the people, so you don't get this kind of embarrassment.
So let's stay on Business Day. There is another story there we'll be looking at. It says the number of unemployed people rises to 8.4 million, record high. This is 33% despite better electricity production. The SA economy is not creating enough jobs to absorb all people entering the job market. It also added that it added 1.8 million jobs since 2022. Over this period, the labor force increased by about 2.2 million to 25 million. I mean, 33% is not a small number. The population of the country is 59.89 million. This will definitely have social impacts, especially in a country where organized crime is widespread. This is a problem, Emmanuel.
Well, it's a problem, and I would like to think that this spike in unemployment figures is may have arisen from the energy crisis South Africa faced recently.
But they also said that there has been better electricity production.
But it takes time.
Yes.
It takes time. It's cumulative. The policies you do today have effect on tomorrow. So I think that is probably a major contributor to the spike in unemployment. And it's, as you said, it is a worrisome development because it's going to further contribute to the crime level in South Africa, which everybody knows is worrisome. So I think it behoves on the president that's the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, to see what he could do to ameliorate the figures. South
Africa has one of the highest crime rates in Africa. They are quite up there. And watch this, in the youth unemployment is more than 43% according to the statistics here. Yeah. So this is the source of the crisis.
That's
youth
huge.
Unemployment.
That's huge. In fact, it says unemployment increased from 32% to 35 point something. Quarter one, quarter two, it increased. But then there are the most places. Actually, COVID-19 played a huge role. So in recovering from it, that's what they're experiencing. The most places where you had the decrease was in trade, agriculture, and construction. Trade, agriculture, and construction. But in manufacturing, and social services and utility, these areas added jobs. It's something they have to deal with, something that our own country has to do with, and all over the world. Because, particularly because of the social implications of unemployment. If you have a population of your agile workers, 43% you say. Idle. That is a time bomb ticking.
Right. Let's move on to The Guardian UK. In The Guardian, a killed women count. A woman dies at the hands of a man every 3 days in the UK, and yet most stories go unheard. As part of a special project, The Guardian is marking the stories and lives of 50 women killed this year. It's a very chilling report of what goes on in society, and it's truly disturbing. It's related to domestic abuse. I mean, sometimes you think that it is in developing countries that you have women that are trapped in domestic abuse because they do not have the financial power to go it on their own, so they stay in those abusive marriages. But we are seeing this report here that is still the same in the UK. Emmanuel, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that report is chilling. It's chilling actually, but it's a reality what happens in homes. And I do want to say it's not only through domestic violence. I want to also suggest through exposure in the working place. Women are also abused in the working place. Some of them commit suicide. Some of them are forced into depression, which eventually lead to death. So in the working place, I would like to bring out an example in Nigeria. We do know of Mrs. Patricia Ete, who was
Yes.
Speaker of the House of Representatives. She was forced out just because a coalition or a group of people who didn't want to see her as, they didn't want to say that where they come from, that they could not bow to a woman. And I want to tell you, these crimes, they have repercussions. When you kill somebody, it has repercussions.
Right.
Like in the case of Patricia Ete, please let me just add that the principal people who brought down that woman from office, one of them is now in jail after he was alleged, after he was convicted of stuffing dollars in the cap. Another one recently lost his principal position in the Senate. Another one, who are all members of the House of Representatives, that one sits calmly, cannot talk in the Senate because he's on the other side of Akpabio. So when you do things against women, they bring forth, we are all products of women.
Right.
I think women should be valued, they should be esteemed, they should be respected.
So in this article, it says that part of the problem is that the violence refuge, so places where women can go to when it's difficult at home, most of them are being shut down in the UK because of lack of support from the government. Yeah, so that's a problem. If you are in this marriage where you don't have anywhere to flee to, then you die in it.
There was a time Mike Tyson was asked, what was your best sponge? He said, the punch I gave Gibbon. That was his wife.
Robin Givens.
Yeah. One part of the room. You know, I think this has a root in culture and the homes. If men are not conditioned in the way they think as they're growing up, how they should treat women, it becomes a problem because women are referred to as the weaker sex. So you see some men, you know, they think the only way to vent is to hit, is to beat, which is horrible,
Right.
really. Because the truth be said, I mean, I had a bishop one time who said that men, God gave them strength, but he looked for where to give women strength. He didn't find, so he put it in their mouth.
Right.
And if you're going to follow the mouth of women, you're going to commit terrible things. This femicide, one particular area that is really hindering whatever has to be done to stop it is the law, because the cases are being delayed over time, and those who were found guilty, their cases have not been treated. So that's one area that they're asking for, you know, for
A review or a
review,
change.
something to be done quickly
Yes.
about how these cases are handled, so people can get.
And I must also add, at this time of cost cutting in the UK,
Right.
the Prime Minister owes it an obligation to ensure that social services budgets are rejigged to take care of provisions and support services to help shelter women.
Oh, okay, so this also relates to another story in the Times. Yes, in the Times about real attacks on women. About 50% rise in real attacks on women in the UK. Very frightening. Let's move on to iNewspaper. Musk X using far-right hate to sell adverts. Tech billionaire faces backlash after ads for Telegraph, Saudi Arabia. Travel and finance firms appear alongside far-right viral messaging. Revenue is boosted by running adverts alongside tweets from British fascists, including Paul Gordon. I mean, Musk has come under heavy fire for a lot of things, especially as it relates to how he handles his platform, formerly Twitter, now X. The other day he had an interview with President Donald Trump.
Former President Donald Trump.
Former President Donald Trump. He seems to be lying, or to the right, some would say to the far right. So a lot of people are taking him to task, Emmanuel.
I think this the issue of corporate governance will have to be brought to the fore. Shareholders and stakeholders in X will have to call Elon Musk to order. And while Twitter, or X as it is, should be used as a platform for expression, we do not expect him to coddle far-right extremists. Essentially not at this time, when the far-right, we've seen what they have done in the UK and in many other European countries, even in the US. So I will expect shareholders of X to call him to order.
Yeah, Elon Musk is very funny the way he goes on and on. You know, there was a time, I think it was the U.S. House and Senate called all the tech weeks, even Zuckerberg and all of them. Then it was not X; he had not come on board, and were putting them to task on how they should handle their site, so people don't use it for things like this. We watch the space and see how it plays out, but just like you said, stakeholders in that X you call Elon Musk. Well, he was the one that said boldly. He said that UK is inevitably
descending into war.
Into war. How do you say that? I mean, that's encouraging.
Well, the UK Prime Minister also, you know, gave it back to him.
Of course, so many. Who won't hit back? I mean, why would you say that? You know. All right, that will be it here on Daybreak, the paper review this morning. Thank you, Dr. Constance and Emmanuel Azikin, for being here with me this morning. And to you, we appreciate you being there. This is Daybreak. Next, don't forget arise.tv. Make your comments there. It's a full day ahead, and every moment indeed does matter. Next is the morning show. Thank you for watching. I am Ndi Amu. Goodbye.